The rain was pouring down in torrents, beating against the windows of Anna's small house, creating a hypnotic rhythm that seemed to accompany the young journalist's confused thoughts. Eldridge, a city marked by its history and secrets, was shrouded in mysteries that seemed to be accumulating like the dark clouds hovering in the sky. Anna was immersed in her notes, surrounded by newspaper clippings and yellowed photographs. In recent months, several people had disappeared without a trace, and the police, powerless, seemed more concerned with calming the population than solving the cases. Determined to bring the truth to light, Anna decided to investigate on her own. As she reread the details of the last disappearance, a shiver ran down her spine. The victim, a young woman named Clara, had been seen for the last time near the old mansion at the end of the street. The house, surrounded by rumors of hauntings and stories of tragedies, had always piqued Anna's curiosity. But at the same time, there was something about it that made her uneasy. Hearing the wind howl outside, Anna decided she needed a break. She went to the kitchen, prepared a cup of tea, and while waiting for the water to boil, her gaze drifted to the phone on the table. The device seemed to vibrate with a strange energy, but Anna ignored it. After a few minutes, the phone rang, cutting through the silence of the house. The sound echoed, almost like a scream in the stormy night. With her heart racing, Anna answered. On the other end, a trembling and distorted voice made her freeze. "You need to discover the truth before it's too late." Before she could respond, the call dropped, leaving Anna alone with her thoughts. The phrase resonated in her mind, and she felt a mix of fear and fascination wash over her. Who was that person? How did they know what she was investigating? Determined not to let fear take over, Anna grabbed a notebook and began jotting down her ideas. The mysterious call further fueled her desire to uncover what lay behind the disappearances. The adrenaline pushed her forward, and even knowing she was getting involved in something dangerous, she couldn't pull away. The storm outside intensified, and the lights began to flicker. Anna felt a strange presence, as if the very air was charged with anticipation. Whatever was lurking seemed to be getting closer, and with that, the feeling that she had crossed an irrevocable line began to solidify in her mind. With her heart pounding, Anna prepared herself for what would come next. The echo of the voice still reverberated in her ears, and she knew that, somehow, the fate of Eldridge was now intertwined with her own. After the mysterious call, Anna felt a renewed determination pulsing through her veins. The fear that had once paralyzed her was now transforming into fuel for her investigation. With a laptop and a notebook, she sat at the table, ready to gather all the information about the disappearances. First, Anna revisited the local news. Each newspaper clipping told a part of the story. People disappearing at different times, all connected by a disturbing pattern. The reports spoke of encounters in isolated places, whispers at night, and a growing sense of despair among the residents. There was a feeling that something darker was at play. Determined to go beyond the pages of the newspapers, Anna decided to visit the local police. Arriving at the station, she was met by Detective Ribeiro, a serious and weary man who had already investigated the cases. He looked at her with suspicion when she expressed her interest. "Look, miss, these cases are delicate. It's not a good idea to get involved in this," he said, crossing his arms. Anna didn't let herself be discouraged. With a mix of bravery and persuasion, she explained her desire to help and her experience as a journalist. After a moment of hesitation, Ribeiro relented, taking her to a room where the records of the disappearances were archived. With her eyes shining with excitement, Anna began to sift through the files. Each document contained details about the missing persons, but one name in particular caught her attention. Clara, the last victim. There was a note mentioning a witness who had seen her leave home on the night she disappeared, but the testimony was vague and lacking concrete details. "This witness didn't want to identify herself," Ribeiro explained, looking at Anna. "They say she is scared." Anna's mind was racing. If the witness was afraid, perhaps there was something to fear. She decided she needed to find her. After a few more questions, Ribeiro agreed to help her, but made it clear that he didn't want her to get into trouble. With the witness's name in hand, Anna set out in search of answers. The city felt different now. Every shadow and every whisper seemed to carry a heavier weight. She decided to start on the streets where Clara used to walk. She spoke with neighbors, but everyone seemed hesitant to talk, as if a pact of silence bound them together. Finally, Anna arrived at a small cafe where Clara used to meet friends. The owner, an elderly woman named Dona Elvira, welcomed her with a curious look. "Clara? Oh my God, poor thing. She was so full of life," said Dona Elvira, her voice trembling. "But there's something you need to know." Anna leaned in to listen. The woman recounted that Clara had mentioned several times seeing something strange near the old mansion at the end of the street, something that made her uneasy. She always spoke of a feeling of being watched. "I told her to be careful, but who listens to an old woman?" lamented Dona Elvira. Anna thanked the woman and decided that the old mansion was her next destination. Her heart raced as she headed there, imagining the revelations that could await. The house, shrouded in mysteries and stories of hauntings, was about to reveal its secrets. Arriving at the site, Anna felt a chill run down her spine. The mansion was imposing and decaying, with broken windows and an entrance covered in dry leaves. As she approached, she noticed that the atmosphere felt different, heavier, as if the house itself was alive and pulsating with untold stories. Determined, Anna took a deep breath and crossed the creaking door, ready to discover what the ancient structure held. Each step echoed in her heart, and a sense of being watched accompanied her. The game was just beginning, and Anna knew that each answer could bring new questions, but she was willing to take the risk. The interior of the mansion was a labyrinth of shadows and echoes. The smell of mildew and rotting wood surrounded Anna as she cautiously advanced down the corridor, illuminated only by the faint light of her flashlight. The walls were covered with dusty photographs, portraits of a family that seemed to live in another era. Empty eyes watched her, and the feeling of being judged by those ancient faces left her uneasy. Anna stopped in front of a slightly open door. The sound of the rain outside seemed distant, as if time had stopped inside that house. With a surge of determination, she pushed the door open and entered a room that appeared to have been abandoned for decades. Furniture covered with white sheets was scattered around the space, and a four-poster bed stood out in the corner, its fabric faded and torn. As she explored the room, Anna felt a presence, as if someone were watching her. She turned quickly, but there was no one there. Her heart racing, she decided to examine the desk in the corner more closely. A dusty diary caught her attention. Carefully, she opened its pages, revealing hurried and nervous handwriting. The words spoke of deep fears, voices whispering at night, and shadows dancing on the walls. The author, Clara, described how she had begun to feel a strange presence, something following her, always near but never visible. Anna felt a chill in her stomach as she realized that the young woman had sensed what she herself was beginning to feel. "I need to tell someone," Clara wrote, "but who would believe me?" Anna sat down, absorbing each word. The diary was filled with despair, and she could not ignore the connection she felt with the missing young woman. Clara had tried to warn someone, but, as Dona Elvira had said, who listens to a lost voice amid fear? Suddenly, a noise came from the corridor, interrupting her thoughts. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed, and Anna quickly stood up, her body tense. Adrenaline surged, and she felt the impulse to run, but her curiosity held her back. With the flashlight in hand, Anna crept to the door, peering into the corridor. Her heart pounded in her ears. The darkness seemed to close in around her, and the air was charged with a strange energy. And then she saw it. A hooded figure standing at the end of the corridor, its head bowed. Anna felt a chill run down her spine. The being seemed wrapped in shadows, and an aura of mystery radiated from it. The instinct to flee fought against the need to understand. With courage, she called out, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" The figure slowly lifted its head, revealing a pale face and eyes that seemed to shine with their own light. The voice that emerged from its lips was soft but heavy with deep weight. "You should not be here. This place holds secrets that should not be revealed." Anna hesitated, but the need to know more pulled her forward. "I am here to uncover the truth about the disappearances. Do you know what happened to Clara?" The figure hesitated, and for a moment Anna thought it would not respond. Then, with a deep sigh, it began to speak. "Clara saw what she should not have. She let curiosity lead her, just as you are. The evil that inhabits this house feeds on fear and doubt. Many have been lost here, and she was just another." Anna felt a knot form in her throat. The figure continued, "If you wish to save those who are still trapped, you must confront what lurks in the shadows. The being that holds her captive will not allow you to leave easily." Anna's mind raced with the implications. Now she was not only seeking answers, but also the salvation of Clara and other lost souls. "What must I do?" Anna asked, determined. The hooded figure took a step forward, and Anna noticed that the shadows around it seemed to twist and writhe. "You must perform a ritual. Only then can you free the imprisoned souls. But be prepared. When confronting the being, you will also face your own fears." With that, the figure vanished into the darkness, leaving Anna alone, her heart racing and her mind full of questions. She knew she was about to enter a dangerous path, but the determination to save Clara propelled her onward. The echo of the past began to blend with her present, and without hesitation, Anna decided not to back down. The truth was within her reach, and she was willing to fight for it. Anna stood frozen for a moment, the last phrase from the figure still reverberating in her mind. The weight of responsibility now rested on her shoulders. She knew that the journey she had chosen would not be easy, but the thought of leaving Clara and other trapped souls in that house was unbearable. Determined, Anna began to search for clues about the ritual that could free the souls. Ancient records, spell books, and rituals became her focus. She remembered Clara's diary and the need to connect with the past to understand the present. What could go wrong? What else could be hidden in the shadows of the mansion? The shadows around her began to twist, and Anna realized the souls were joining her, forming a resistance energy. The being, sensing the change, began to agitate, its distorted form writhing in an attempt to hold firm. "You cannot do this!" the being screamed, its voice now filled with panic. Anna felt the strength of the souls around her, a warmth that grew and illuminated the space. She knew she was close to completing the ritual. With one last shout, she pronounced the final words, and the circle began to glow with an intense light. The shadows were absorbed by the light, and Anna felt a wave of relief and liberation. The being began to scream, its form fading away in the light. Then everything fell silent. The light dissipated and Anna fell to her knees, exhausted but relieved. The souls were free, and the weight the house had carried seemed to have lifted. She knew the path ahead would still be challenging, but in that moment, she had won a crucial battle. With tears in her eyes, Anna looked around, feeling the presence of the souls around her, now at peace. The echo of the past was finally silenced, and the mansion, while still shrouded in mystery, seemed less threatening. It was time to leave that place. But Anna knew that the truth about Eldridge and its disappearances still needed to be revealed. Anna stood up from the ground, still panting after the intense ritual. The air around her was charged with a different energy, as if the house was finally breathing, freeing itself from a weight that had oppressed it for decades. But the feeling of relief was quickly replaced by a growing urgency. The evil being might not have been completely banished. With her heart racing, Anna knew she couldn't leave the mansion without ensuring everything was truly resolved. The thought that the being could still be lurking left her uneasy. Gathering her courage, she decided she needed to confront it once more, not just for Clara and the other souls, but also for herself. It would be a challenge that required not only strength, but also a deep understanding of what was truly at stake. Anna made her way to the center of the basement where the ritual had taken place. The shadows still danced on the walls, but now they seemed less menacing. She began to murmur the words of the ritual, trying to connect with the energy she had felt before. She wanted the being to appear, to confront her, so she could finally end what had begun. "Show yourself!" Anna shouted, her voice echoing in the space. "Come face me!" A heavy silence followed her call, and she wondered if she had really managed to defeat it. But suddenly, the air around her began to stir, and a low, distorted laughter filled the space, making the walls tremble. "You are brave, girl. But courage is not what you need to face me," said the voice, which seemed to come from all corners at once. Anna felt a chill run down her spine. The being began to materialize before her, its distorted form emerging from the shadows, eyes glowing with a malevolent light. The atmosphere grew cold, and the presence of the being was almost oppressive. "Do you think you defeated me?" It continued, its tone sarcastic. "I am what sustains this place. I am the reason why everyone fears to enter here. I am not afraid of you, Anna replied, trying to keep her voice steady. You have no power over me or the souls you have imprisoned. The being hesitated for a moment, as if Anna's confidence surprised it. But it quickly regained control, advancing toward her, the darkness around it intensifying. You don't know who you're dealing with. Every soul you freed has become part of me. The more you try to oppose me, the stronger I become. Anna remembered Clara's diary and how the souls had united with her during the ritual. Keeping that in mind, she began to invoke the energies of the freed souls, calling them to help her once more. Clara, Anna shouted, come to me. Together we are stronger. A soft light began to glow around her, and Anna felt the comforting presence of the souls. They joined her, forming a shield of light that protected her. The being, sensing the change, began to scream, its form twisting in a desperate attempt to remain firm. You cannot defeat me, it roared, its voice turning into a growl. I am eternal. No, you are just a shadow, Anna shouted, feeling the strength of the souls pulsating within her. And shadows cannot exist in the light. With one final push, Anna raised her hands, and the light emanating from her intensified, enveloping the being in a blinding glow. The air was charged with energy, and the souls seemed to unite in a chorus of voices, echoing the words Anna had pronounced during the ritual. The being began to fade, its form twisting like smoke before the light. The screams that had once been of arrogance were now of despair. No, no, it cried, its voice fading into the air. In one last burst of courage, Anna concentrated all her energy, channeling the power of the freed souls. The light expanded, filling every corner of the basement, and with one final scream, the being was finally dissipated, as if it had never existed. The silence that followed was profound and absolute. Anna fell to her knees, exhausted, but overwhelmed with a sense of victory. The souls were free, and the weight that had hung over the mansion for so long had finally been lifted. With tears in her eyes, Anna slowly stood up. The basement, once a place of darkness, now radiated a soft and welcoming light. She knew the battle had been difficult, but her determination had led her to a triumph that seemed impossible. Anna stepped out of the mansion, the cool night air enveloping her like a comforting embrace. The storm that had once roared was now just a faint whisper, and the dense clouds had dissipated, revealing a starry sky. She paused for a moment, allowing the feeling of relief and achievement to settle in her heart. As she walked along the path leading back to town, memories of the freed souls danced in her mind. Clara, Donna Elvira, and all the others who had suffered under the weight of the evil being were now at peace. Anna smiled, feeling that, in some way, they accompanied her, each a thread of light guiding her back home. Upon entering the town, Anna noticed that Eldridge seemed different. The streets, once shrouded in heavy silence and an aura of fear, now resonated with everyday life. People walked along the sidewalks, chatting and laughing, as if the weight of an invisible shadow had been lifted. Anna knew she had to tell her story. People needed to know what had really happened and how, together, they could protect their town from new dangers. When she arrived home, she sat at the table, turned on her computer, and began to write. Each word she typed was a testament to the struggle, pain, and liberation. As she wrote, Anna reflected on what she had learned. Fear can be paralyzing, but courage can be even more powerful. What had begun as a quest for answers had transformed into a journey of self-discovery. She had not only freed the imprisoned souls, but also liberated herself from her own fears and insecurities. Hours passed quickly, and when she finally finished, Anna read her story with a sense of satisfaction. She had captured the truth of Eldridge, the disappearances, the evil being, and most importantly, the strength of the souls that had fought by her side. The weight of responsibility that had haunted her had now transformed into a renewed purpose. The next day, Anna decided it was time to gather the townspeople. She organized a meeting in the central square where everyone could hear her story. When she arrived, she found a crowd gathered, eager to know what had happened. Anna climbed onto the small platform, her heart racing. As she looked at the crowd, she saw expressions of concern, curiosity, and finally, hope. With a firm voice, she began to recount what she had discovered, from the first strange call to the final confrontation in the mansion. "We cannot forget what happened," Anna said, her voice echoing through the square. "But we also cannot allow fear to control us. Together we must protect our town and ensure that history does not repeat itself." Anna's words resonated among the townspeople, and as she spoke, she saw faces light up with determination. That town, once shrouded in darkness and silence, was now beginning to unite with a new purpose. After the meeting, Anna was surrounded by people who wanted to know more, offer support, and discuss how they could come together to protect Eldridge. She realized that the fight against fear and the unknown was not just an individual battle, but a collective effort. As days went by, Anna became an active voice in the community. Together with the townspeople, she began organizing events, lectures, and support groups, all aimed at strengthening the town's unity and ensuring that the secrets of the past were not forgotten, but learned from. Though the memory of the disappearances still lingered, the town began to heal. People took turns sharing stories, exchanging experiences, and forming stronger bonds. Life in Eldridge was being reborn, and Anna was at the center of this renaissance. One night, while walking through the lantern-lit square, Anna felt a deep peace. The echo of silence that once terrified her had been replaced by laughter and conversation. The town was alive again, and she knew she had not fought in vain. But deep down, Anna also understood that the struggle against fear and darkness never completely ends. There would always be challenges, always secrets to be unveiled. However, now she knew she was not alone. The souls she had freed and the community she had helped create would always be her allies. And so, as the echoes of the past began to fade, Anna made a promise to herself and to Eldridge that she would never forget the importance of truth, courage, and unity. The silence had transformed into a song of hope, and the town was ready for a bright future, free from the shadows of the past.